Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling something crucial in our digital lives, data protection. Think about Hyderabad, this buzzing tech hub, right? Millions of user profiles handled every day.
Exactly. It's a huge responsibility.
So what happens when things go wrong? When there's a data breach? We're diving into India's new Digital Personal Data Protection Act, the DPDP Act, and what it really means for those Hyderabad IT firms and, well, for you.
That's the core focus. The DPDP Act from 2023 is India's big move on personal data privacy. It sets the rules.
And it defines what a personal data breach actually is, right?
Precisely. It's any unauthorized processing, access, disclosure, alteration, even loss of personal data. Basically anything that could potentially harm you, the individual or the data principal, as the Act calls you.
Okay, harm to the individual. Makes sense. But let's focus on Hyderabad. It's a massive tech center. Why is this law such a big deal there specifically? And are the penalties enough to make these big global companies really pay attention?
Oh, absolutely. The stakes are incredibly high. We're talking penalties up to 250 crores.
250 crores.
Wow. Yeah, it's a huge figure. For many companies, even established ones in Hyderabad, that's potentially crippling. But it's not just the money.
Right, there's the reputation.
Exactly. Reputational damage is massive. Losing client trust, especially in IT services where trust is everything, that can be fatal for a business. So compliance isn't just a legal thing anymore. It's actually becoming a business necessity.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. So a breach happens. The Act has steps companies need to follow, right? What's the very first thing they absolutely have to do?
The first and maybe the hardest part is detect and confirm the breach. Fast.
How do they do that quickly?
Well, they need good tools like SIEM systems. Think of them as digital alarm systems watching everything. But it's more than just the tech alert. It's about quickly figuring out what happened and getting the data protection officer, the DPO, involved immediately.
Okay, so detect, confirm, involve the DPO. Then what?
Then, crucially, they need to notify the Data Protection Board of India, the DPBI. The Act says as soon as possible.
As soon as possible. That sounds a little vague.
It is, intentionally so, perhaps, but the clear message is urgency. Don't delay. Any hesitation without a really good reason could lead straight to penalties or an investigation. You treat it like an emergency.
Got it. Speed is key. Now, what about us? The people whose data might have been exposed. The data principals. What does the Act say about telling us?
That's a really important part. Companies must tell affected individuals if the breach is likely to cause significant harm.
And significant harm means things like
identity theft, financial loss, maybe losing access to essential services, real-world damage.
How do they tell people? Email, text.
Yeah, accessible methods, email, SMS, maybe even an in-app notification. And the message has to be clear. What happened, when, what data was involved, and crucially, what steps you should take to protect yourself. Plus, how to get help from the company.
Okay, so reporting to the board, informing users. What else needs to happen right away once a breach is confirmed? What actions do companies have to take internally?
They have to mitigate immediately. That means containing the damage.
Like what, specifically?
Isolating the affected systems, which, in complex IT setups can be tricky. Revoking any stolen passwords or credentials, patching the security holes that allowed the breach, and figuring out how it happened in the first place.
And they need to keep records of all this.
Absolutely. Maintain detailed records and logs. This is critical. Every incident, big or small, needs to be documented, and those records have to be kept for at least 7 years. For compliance, for audits, proof they acted correctly.
You mentioned Hyderabad's specific context earlier. It's not just generic IT, right? They handle healthcare data, financial data, global clients.
Yeah.
Does that add extra layers?
It definitely does. If a Hyderabad company handles, say, U.S. healthcare data, they also need to comply with HOUTPIA alongside the DPDP Act.
Ah, so multiple regulations might apply at once.
Exactly. Or financial regulations if they're in fintech. So best practice for firms there. Appoint a really knowledgeable DPO, someone who gets both the legal and the tech side, and maybe even loop in the local Hyderabad cybercrime police as part of their response plan. Being on top of this multi-layered compliance is actually becoming a selling point.
So pulling this all together, what are the key takeaways for companies and ultimately for you listening?
I think it boils down to 3 main things for companies handling your data. First, act fast. Delays are costly, reputationally, and financially.
Okay, act fast.
Second, be transparent. Clear, prompt communication with the authorities, and importantly, with affected individuals like you is non-negotiable.
Transparency. Got it. And third?
Train teams. This can't just be a policy document sitting on a shelf. Everyone needs to know their role in spotting and responding to a breach. It has to be ingrained.
Makes sense. Act fast, be transparent, train teams.
And maybe a final thought for our listeners to chew on.
Well, think about this. Laws like the DPDP Act aren't just about forcing companies to comply. They're part of a global shift towards giving you, the individual, more control and protection over your data. India's move here helps set a standard. So maybe reflect on your own digital life. Where is your data going, and how are laws like this starting to protect you?